Good afternoon, all. And I tell you, it's really nice in the southwest here at the moment. I don't know if you know, but if you listen on radio, good afternoon. But yeah, it's really the sun is out, and I haven't been out yet because I've got radio and podcast here all day. But it's really really nice. If you're listening on radio at the moment, welcome, and we got lots and lots of people for you today. Hello, how are you?
Hi there, Steve. Thank you for having me on the show. My name's Kai Graham, and I'm looking forward to sort of sharing and chatting with you.
Okay, and tell us about a bit about yourself, about yourself and what you do and everything.
Okay, I am a parent and teen mentor, parent and teen troubleshooter, and really what that means is supporting parents because it's a tricky old time at the minute. I think when I was sort of parented, which was sort of in the olden days, um, we were very much a generation of sort of kids that were seen and not heard, if that sort of rings a bell with many of your listeners. And so we're coming into parenting nowadays, really with a clean sheet, because for many of us we are unable to parent from experience. It's a different world out there now. I mean, if you look at the way technology's changed, even in the last sort of couple of decades, I was very much the only way I could speak to my sort of mates was sort of sitting on the hall stairs with one of those sort of dial-up phones with the long leads, and so. Trying to keep up with this changing world is quite, it can be a bit of a challenge for parents. And so what I am doing, I was a Childline volunteer for a long time. And what I am sort of, it's my mission is to support parents so that they can support their kids, so that together we can build a mentally happier and healthier generation of young people. Because, well, we've had, as many, well, as you guys know, we've had a very interesting and probably turbulent time over the last sort of 18 months to 2 years with COVID, and it's created an environment that has, well, it's been turbulent for a lot of people, and not only for parents but for the teens as well. They've had a lot of readjusting to do. They have had a lot of their dreams snatched away. So those that wanted to have their sort of prom parties, or those that wanted to have their graduations, or even just birthday parties. Our
Mm.
kids have sort of have not really been able to live the life that we said that was going to be happening for them. The A-level exams were changed beyond recognition, as were GCSEs. And so for us to try and tell our kids it's going to be okay, their response quite naturally is, how the heck do you know? Because we are in sort of it's ever
Yeah, yeah.
changing, and it's new territory for many of us. And so I am finding that a lot of parents are just sort of uncharted waters. So I'm sort of making it my mission to support them so that they can support their kids.
I got Dion here, and she's saying, "Hi Steve, I'm having problems about my children going to school at the moment. After the COVID, I'm really concerned. I tell them every day that they need to go to school and learn, but they don't want to go to school. Every morning they get up, take their time, and run off. They just don't want to go. What can I do?"
I, dear, I hear you, and that you're not alone there. And if it's any consolation, I know that sort of doesn't really help, but it's a problem. Back to school anxiety is a regular thing. for a lot of families, but it's even more heightened at the minute. And it's a matter of, well, you know, we've got the sort of, you know, the education system breathing down our necks, saying, oh well, if your kid doesn't go to school, they'll be a lazy layabout and they'll end up on the scrap heap. And then the other sort of side is, well, hang on a minute, my child's mental health is sort of being affected here, and some it could just be the nerves and the jitters, but others it is sort of full blown anxiety. So really what I suggest is, I think that the trick is as individuals, we all, you, me, the postman, the leader of the House of Commons, whoever they are, we all want to feel, at some stage, we want to feel loved, understood, and respected. And your child is no different to that. One hopes it's a given that our kids know that they're loved. If they're not, if they don't feel that, then maybe tell them a bit more and show them by your actions. But being understood for teenagers is a massive thing, because they are trying to work out where they fit in this world, where they're, you know, what they say matters, how they sort of can associate with sort of their tribe or their friendship group. And so it's important that we show our kids that we understand what they're going through, whether or not it's, as I've said, where they fit in, but also it's those feelings of, I don't want to go to school because, you know, I have anxiety, or I'm trying to get out of a maths test, or someone was mean to me in the lunch hall and I don't, you know, or I'm feeling sort of bullied or under pressure. What we need to do to understand our kids is to speak to them and listen to them, listen to what they've got to say. And I think the trick is for many parents, we try to problem solve everything. And as I sort of said, I was a sort of Childline volunteer, and I know a lot about speaking to kids. And a lot of the time, I just listened to what they had to say. And then, you know, after sort of 20 minutes or something, they go, oh, thank you so much, that really, really helped. And I thought, hang on a minute, I didn't do too much, but what I did was I listened to what they had to say, and I listened to what their fears were, what their dreams were, what their worries were, what their exciting things to report were. I just gave them some space. And I think we need to take off the problem solving hat and put on the listening to our child hat, because that makes a massive difference. And it doesn't matter what age they are. You know, if they're 5 years old and they're sort of coming in and saying, Stacey pushed me over in a puddle, or they want to tell you about their favorite ice cream flavor, it doesn't matter. At that early age, we're teaching and training our kids that we are prepared to listen to them. If we don't, and we're sort of sitting on our phones and going, oh yeah, right, whatever, go and watch telly or whatever it is, we are training our kids that we are not listening to the little stuff.
Are we listening enough?
I think that's the thing. I don't think we are. I think we're problem solving, and I think we are just trying to sort of the natural response, Steve, is to sort of say, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And actually, our kids don't want to hear that. Our kids want to feel as though someone has heard us. So the trick is to, dare I say it, button it, shut up and listen. So our kids feel their feelings have been validated. And so Dion's saying that she's worried about her child, you know, sort of the anxieties of school. Start off by listening and sort of saying, how can I support you in this? Yeah, you do need to go to school, but how can I support you best? And it could be, walk me to the bus stop, or it could be, don't walk me to the bus stop, or it could be, have tea and toast ready when I get in, or, you know, whatever. It could be, I need a duvet day. Whatever it is, we have to understand what's going on in our kids' heads. And as you rightly say, Steve, we're not listening enough, so we need to listen more.
And also, I think we need to spend more time with our children too.
Yes, absolutely. I think the thing is, as kids, whatever age they are wanting their parents' attention. Now, by parent, I mean that term loosely, because it could be step parent, it could be grandparent who's caring, it could be primary carer, it could be adoptive parents, all that. But they need our attention. And so it's putting down the phone and giving our kids just time and space. And it could be doing a puzzle together. It could just be listening. It could be watching a movie. It could be going for a walk. It's the simple things that show to our kids, you matter. I'm giving you my time.
Yeah. I I listen to this all the time where people say, Steve, I've got a busy life. I leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't come back till 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
My children's in bed and things like that. And I said, well, when do you actually spend time with your children? They said, well, when I can. Then I turn around to them and I say, well, that's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we have children, we need to spend time for them. Our kids, our children want mum and dad around.
They do.
A parent around, don't they?
Absolutely. And the thing is that we sort of tend to, sort of give them presents or give them, sort of extra curfew, or we give them loads of stuff to try and fill in the gaps of us not being able to spend time. What I do suggest is that we dare I say it, so treat it a bit more formally and put something in your diary and block out slots of, and if you're working 8 till 8, I appreciate that's really hard. Find time at the weekend. And it doesn't have to be the whole day. It could be sort of, an hour slot to do some baking, or an hour slot to sort of, to go for a walk or whatever. But it's finding that time and sticking to it. It could be making Friday night family movie night or something like that. Something that's simple, that the kids know that it's immovable and it's something that they can sort of, they can rely on.
Yeah, totally. Lucy says here, hi Steve, I always make sure that I spend time with my children. We have a family night and a family day twice a week.
Bravo!
Spend time with our family. A family evening is spent watching movies or talking about the problems that we got. That's quite good. That is really good.
Well done, Lucy. Just what you need to do.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's really,
yes,
really good. It's really good. And but the trouble is, sometimes parents say to me when I go to when I take my children to school, the parents say, I'm doing too much. I'm not kind of like letting them go and do what they want. Yeah.
I think the thing is that sort of, some kids skip into school and love it, and others feel that it's it's a sort of millstone around their neck, or a sort of necessary evil. I think it's just finding. Eventually, one hopes that there is someone or something at school that lights your child's spark, and it could be rugby, it could be flute, it could be physics, it doesn't matter what it is, or it could be catching up with your mates and sort of or doing pottery or whatever it is. But it's helping your child find that spark, that something that gives them that interest, that sort of fuels maybe sort of something that they can sort of work on. It's school, whilst it focuses a lot on the academic side. I think we need to encourage our kids that actually their grades do not define them. So if they are maybe they don't really like the learning so much and the reading, writing, arithmetic, hopefully there is something at school that can sort of light that spark for them.
And this is a good one, because I've got somebody here called Angela, and she says, hi Steve, my children had to miss on their exams. My daughter turned to me the other day and said, Mum, stop putting pressure on me with doing my exams. All I want to do, Steve, is to help my children.
Do you know what, Steve? I sort of say to parents that you are only as happy as your saddest child. And I think the thing is we try and push our kids to sort of, work really hard and get all the grades so they can make something of their life and so they can be really sort of successful in whatever they choose. Do you know what? When your child, and I've had this situation, when your child is struggling with their mental health, you do not give a stuff about their A grades or their B grades or their whatever. All you care about is the mental mental health of your child. So I think sometimes we feel that we have failed our kids if they don't get the grades that they need. And actually, I feel we're failing them if we put too much pressure on those grades. As I sort of said, we need our kids to realize that life has its ups and downs. We need to teach our kids resilience and love and compassion and respect and all those wonderful things. And yes, punctuality and all those transferable skills. But if your child is happy within themselves, once they leave school, they will start being able to find whatever lights their fire. And it could be broadcasting or podcasting, or it could be sort of trying to make money on Bitcoin. I don't care what it is. It could be being a dog walker. Your child will start realizing that this work. Now, yes, grades will help that world open up, but really we need our kids to find that passion and fighting for what they believe in, a bit like Greta Thunberg, who was who has her sort of very strong views about sort of climate. We need our kids to say, come on, what is it that sets your world alight? Because once you found that, it doesn't matter what time of day or whatever, you will be jumping out of bed with a spring in your step if you have found something that you are passionate about.
Just a bit about you now, because why did you want to come, why did you want to come like a mentor? Why did you, in your field, what you want to do?
To be honest, I was a Childline sort of volunteer, and I suddenly realized that our kids weren't getting the voice that they needed. I remember what it felt like as a child, as I said, being seen and not heard. And I just feel I think kids get a bad press, and I think especially teenagers, they're not just that sort of young kids in hoodies and stroppy and slamming doors. They are vibrant and intelligent and funny, and I just want to be able to give kids a voice. I have a son who's now 28 who struggles with his mental health, and I know that I've got the tools that can help parents support their kids, but also I want kids to realize that it's a wonderful world out there. Yes, it can get messy, but there is hope to enjoy it as well. And I sort of started that ball rolling after Childline, but I sort of wrote a book, Steve, called the Teen Toolbox. And it's on Amazon, and it's equipping parents and teenagers with the tools for navigating adolescence. And what that does is it basically maps out for parents how they can get in the right headspace to support their kids, and it gives them practical tips and strategies to how to cope with sort of when your child's having a meltdown, how to cope with social media, how to cope with when you think your child might be on drugs or smoking or drinking or whatever. And it gives practical support that a lot of these, there's not a lot of support out there for parents of teenagers, a lot for, when they're young and sitting on the naughty step, but not for teenagers, because I think the problems get a lot meatier, and it's the, oh gosh, well, how do we address that? And I think we have to understand that as parents, we are the role models for our kids. And so helping them navigate the choppy waters of adolescence, but also this world that we're in at the minute of uncertainty. If we are calm and if we feel confident in our parenting, then our kids will catch that energy and catch that vibe.
What do you offer? If someone contacts you and say, right, I need help with my teenager, what can you offer them?
I have a number of sort of alternatives. You can sort of chat to me. KaiGraham.com is the best way to sort of to contact me. I can speak to your child, and within an hour they will be in a totally different mindset. I could also speak to you as a parent, and the sort of same thing applies. But it's giving parents the tools to realize. I liken it, Steve, to a car with a flat tire. When we are struggling as a family, for whatever reason, we sort of think that everything's broken and everything's just not working. And what we have to remember, it's like that car with the flat tire. Only the tire is flat. Everything feels wrong, but the windscreen wipers are working, the sound system's working, the battery's working, the alternator. And we when we are struggling as a family, we think everything is broken, and it's not. And what I do is I'm very good at helping you find that tiny one thing that might need a bit of a tweak, and everything feels as though it's sort of more balanced again. And so that is how I sort of support, sort of families. Not everything is broken. Usually you just need to sort of focus in one area. And actually, just a very quick way of working out, well, how do I know what area is broken? I've got a quiz running at the moment. It's kaigraham.com/quiz. And if you go and sign up to that, that will show you, within a matter of minutes, oh, okay, I'm doing really well here. I'm doing really well there. Oh, but hang on a minute, that just area needs a bit of a tweak. And you can contact me and we can have a chat and see how I can best support that.
Brilliant. Let's talk about Childline, because that's a big charity, and I'm all for Childline. What was it like to work for Childline?
Oh my stars! It was I wanted to give something back, and having had kids, sort of, as I sort of said, they're through the teenage years now, but I had a bit more time on my hands, and I wanted to go and support other kids, because, as I said, I know what it feels like. It's a very caring environment. There's so much blimmin' training you wouldn't believe. You have to sort of, you have to go through lots of role play. You have to go through a lot as a volunteer. There's, quite rightly so. There's a lot of vetting, but also a lot of training that you have to go through. But you can have, there's a myriad of calls that you get. A lot of it's online, but it's either phone or online. And I had sort of, I think my second day, I was dealing with calls that were so different. One child wanted to work out how to get pocket money to feed her pet snake the right food. Someone else wanted to sing a carol to me down the phone, but someone else was feeling had actually taken an overdose, and we were able to confidentially get her support, and the ambulance sort of arrived. So it really, and there are lots of other things in between. And what I found with Childline, which goes back to our previous point, is kids want to be heard. I had one child going, I got a B in maths and I've just come home and there's no one here to celebrate with me. And so can I talk to you about it? And someone else was sort of saying, well, I'm feeling nervous, a bit like, I'm feeling nervous going to school. How do I cope? And do you know what? Our kids, a lot of them have the solutions in their heads already, but they just need to help work through it. And that's what Childline is brilliant at, is being able to listen to the kids and going, well, come on, what do you think you do here? And it empowers the kids to find the solutions for themselves. And that is what I found so rewarding. So as parents, we can do exactly the same. It's just, not problem solving, going, what do you need here? What do you think would be? And there's a great bit in my book, I think it's page 104 if I'm right, which is called the critical thinking method, which allows our kids to work out how to solve their own problems without us adults wading in the whole time.
Brilliant, very good. And because Childline, do wonders. Could you tell us, we don't want to know the person, of course, but what was the worst call that you ever got? Can you remember?
I think it's probably the one I just referred to. Was the one, because I was a newbie, and I think it was my second day in. And the brilliant thing about it was, Steve, was the fact that I initially thought, oh heck, I'm out of my depth, and suddenly the training kicked in, and it was no, I know how to deal with this. And it was just that this young girl she had taken this overdose, and she didn't want her parents to know, which we had to respect, but we needed to make sure. Childline's has some many guidelines to work with, but the main one is that the child's safety is paramount. And so we needed to make sure that this young girl was going to get the support that she needed. And it was only when we got the, you know, she handed her phone over to the paramedic that we knew that she was safe. But she, you know, she was sounding drowsy. She was beginning to, you know, sort of just sound quite sleepy. And we knew that time was of the essence. But because of the training, we were able to deal with it, or I was able to deal with it, you know, sort of effectively. But there have been sort of other sort of situations where you sort of suddenly realize, do you know what, as parents or as adults, we can have such an impact on a young person. And you know, just by throwaway comments, we can either build kids up or we can drag them down so quickly. And it's so important for us to realize that, you know, we need to build our kids up. And by sort of saying, oh, you'll amount to nothing and you're hopeless and, you know, who do you think you are? It's just comments that are out of the mouth within a matter of seconds can have an impact for decades. So as grown-ups, we need to realize that we are holding vulnerable kids and, you know, sort of futures in our hands, and it's our responsibility to, I think, be the role models and model the behavior that we want to see for our kids and you know, the future generations.
Well done for what you've done for Childline.
I thank you for that.
Tell us, show us your book. Tell us where to get your book and how much it costs.
My book is called The Teen Toolbox, and it's on Amazon. It's a bestseller, I'm thrilled to say. So thank you for that. Who you know, those guys that have been buying it. And it's actually, rather, you know, you can either search on Amazon for the Teen Toolbox, or you can do kaigraham.com/book, and that'll get you there as well, which may or may not be easier. I think you know, you can get it on Kindle, and you can get it. So I can't remember the price for Kindle at the minute, but you can get it on Kindle, and you can get it, you know, as hard copy as well. But it's, you know, no one gave us a manual. You know, when you get an iPhone or something like that, and you get this sort of this user guide, and it's in so many different languages and tells you all about the buttons to press. No one tells us how to parent. No, you know, when our babies were born, they didn't say, here's a lovely big manual, over to you. They just sort of said, right, on your way. And so this gives, it's a great sort of point of reference for parents who are struggling, know that they just want to get from, it doesn't, I'm not saying everything has to be broken, they might just want to get from good to great, but it's packed full of techniques that are fast, easy to sort of remember, and they're all child friendly as well, because a lot of these techniques can be transferred for your kids. So and it'll help with their anxieties of going to school, their confidence, their, you know, just their self-esteem, because that's the big thing. When we feel good inside, it allows us to sort of shine a little bit brighter.
Brilliant, very good, very good. So don't forget, guys, you know, get Cal's book, and you know, the trouble is, you know, we all need some advice now and again, you know, and don't forget, you know, parents are human, you know, we're all human, you know, and we do make mistakes. But Carol, thanks very much for joining us, and that is very good for today. Okay, guys, I'm going to be back soon. In the meantime, see you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, just stay there for a second.